Welcome to the latest dope episode of the HipPodHedz podcast. A podcast where no Sage and no Vac discuss their hip-hop inspired moments. Pull up a chair, grab a beverage, fill up your cup and get comfortable.
I'm Hayes, host creator of Chicago Bulls and Chicago Bears Central YouTube pages and podcasts. And this, I love what Known Sage does. Y'all make sure y'all go and check out his hip hop podcast as well, which is HipPodHedz. You guys make sure you guys check him out on that.
Welcome to another dope episode of HipPodHedz. We discuss our favorite hip hop moments. No Sage, along with Novak. We got Jett back in the building. What's up, man?
It's good to be here. Thanks for having me on, boys.
Bro.
Appreciate you.
I didn't think this conversation was going to happen because when we had this conversation years ago, and Jett, you were just sort of like playfully saying in jest, like, man, I wonder if Ye got all these beats stacked away. And look where we are, bro. Look. I would have never, in my wildest dreams, even think that we'd be where we at right now.
And we could be doing this 2 more times, evidently. With volumes 2 and 3.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, but he has yet to drop a volume or self-redundant 1 and 2. That's the only sequential order he's ever done. So it'll be interesting to see if a volume 2 shows up this year. He might stop and do another gospel album in the middle or something. You never know. This is probably the most ungospel Ye we've heard in years on this one.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. I mean, like, I know we're going to get into the Vultures drop. We're going to talk a lot about a lot of things, but before the Vultures album came out officially, I was like listening to a lot of the stuff that was on the SoundClouds and the unauthorized streams and whatever, like what the Jesus is King 2. There was like a lot of like gospel like bars that he was dropping that I sort of felt like he had to get off his chest before we actually saw this Vultures album.
Well, you think he cleansed himself. You know, he did the whole thing Prince with the lake, and he cleansed himself.
Right.
This is like post Kardashian. So, you know, this is PK.
How can you come back from that though?
Oh, he came back strong, man. I mean, you got AD and BC. This is PK. This is post Kardashian. So it's like it's a different fire. You know, you can tell like with Ty Dolla, you know, that collaboration piece is scary because the thing is, you know, Ty changed into it's like what he did to Bumpy J. He turned Bumpy J into like, I don't know, man, that look that Bumpy J got right now. He's got like the leather jacket over no shirt. This is Bumpy J we're talking about. So Ye changes everybody for either good or bad at this point.
I agree.
Yeah, man. I mean, like, we're probably going to dive into a lot of our feels and a lot of our favorite tracks. But yeah, scary is definitely the word that came to mind because when I first heard it, I started to tap into some of my horror rap chronology in my brain, like, you know, like some of the Tyler the Creator stuff, obviously, and, you know, Eminem and his horror rap. And I mean, the list goes on and on, like Gravediggers and Wu-Tang, but like, I don't know if folks know that like that rap genre per se, right? Because it's kind of like, I don't know if you want to call it like quasi metal, but you know, it feels like there's like that creepy element to all this Vultures like Vultures music. Like even with the comic book thing you have in back of you, Novak, it's like it's all there.
It's like
It's very eerie in a lot of ways. I mean, you know.
Well, I mean, if you think about Yeezus had a rock base to it. So it's kind of like when you go to a record shop and you see like the Vulture whole thing is like the AC/DC look, if you think about it. It's the black, it's the Jason mask, it's the giant oversized Balenciaga shirt that disappeared for like 2 years. He brought it back. it's the socks with the rubber on the bottom. I bought a pair of them socks, and I can tell you, it's like you feel like a ninja. You wear those socks around the city. I was jumping out of cars, man, trying not to stub my toe. And people walk up to you and go, "Are they comfortable?" I'm like, they feel pretty good actually. I don't like driving in them because I feel like I'm gonna rear end somebody because you got to, you know, heel toe in the car, so your heel is like floating on the pedal. And I wear like a 14, so like his size 3 ain't really fitting the way I want it to fit. So I'm stretching them out. So I'm making those into my own personal fits right now. I need a 4 yay. I need that 3 ain't working right now. That's a 12 and under shoe. Well, sock. Best way to put it.
And Jett, I think the first reaction that you sent us was like you felt like it was like the project was a combination of what was that, Yeezus and Life of Pablo, right?
Yeah, I was trying to put my finger on it, and it's weird, right? The more I thought about it, I was trying to, well, initially, right? I'm trying to, okay, I hear a little bit of Yeezus, I hear a little bit of Pablo, I hear a little bit of, late registration. And then the more and more I kind of listen to it, it kind of, I mean, maybe like a few samples here and there, like a few little, like you catch a quick little sample of something he's done in the past, or gives you a hint something. It really didn't, it kind of stood on its own. Not to compare it to Yeezus because it's very, very different, but it's just something new and different. But the fact that he was using Ty, not using, the fact that he collabed with Ty made it more sing-along friendly, if that makes sense. It's a weird, he's always doing something new and different. So it didn't remind me of any album in the past on a full-on scale, but the fact that he brought Ty in made me think of like sing-alongs, which is, I guess, like his PK days, his pre-Kardashian days. But no, it was different. It was something good. I mean, it's funny though, like we talked about how it kind of came on to streaming out of nowhere. Like it was just like a random Thursday. It just kind of showed up on Apple Music and on Spotify, which is great. But like I was texting, some of you guys, and I'm like, man, I hope the album stays up, because every time I look, there's a new track that's getting pulled off or some issue somewhere, or he's posting on Instagram. So I'm glad what's left of it. But I was also a little bit, I'm kind of rambling here, but the last thing is, I thought there would be, he teased a couple more, a few other songs that didn't make this first cut, which, evidently going on either volume 2 or 3, but it's a little bit different in that I feel like when Kanye used to release an album, it was the all-star tracks. He still figured out a way to tell a story, but there was never, volume 1, 2, 3. And it's like a new it's almost as if now where he's like, it's not so much like the highlights of a graphic novel. It's like a full-on 300-page book that, kind of like the Harry Potter series, right? You got to wait for each book to kind of come out, and you have no idea when they're coming out. It could be a random Thursday, or it could be, middle of summer at some point.
I love all the random thoughts you got, because it is hard to categorize it. I feel like it's hard to separate the art from the artist, right? Like,
for sure.
There's so many like references, there's so many bars, there's so many like moments where you're kind of like, it takes you out of the music, for better or for worse, right? But I mean, like, when you both were waxing poetic the last time we had this conversation about Ye, like, will it happen? Mm-hmm. Will there be a project? And even when he did tease Vultures, like, Novak was constantly saying, it's not coming out this week. It's not coming out this week. Yeah. Lo and behold, it finally did. But it's like, man, it just, like, I know we always compare the rap music and a lot of music in general to like the sports scene, right? So obviously this is like him relacing them up and trying to let folks know, hey, I still got it. Damn my dated references, I'm still gonna show you that I still got, something to give. I got some more gas in the tank. And yeah, I agree. The addition with Ty Dolla $ign like makes it feel it's like a Watch the Thrones quasi sequel, right? Because
Yeah,
I don't
that's a
think
good
he
way
can
of
go
putting it.
wrong when he collabs with somebody for a whole project. So like it just makes me think about other folks that he can collaborate with for a whole project instead of just one track or two track or things like that, you know?
It's like it's like, you know, the crazy thing about it, like, you know, when he dropped that talking track, you know, when that video popped up on Twitter and Instagram and everything, and you got North going crazy on the track, and you see the fact that you see like the originator, and you see the sequel. It's kind of crazy. You think about the fact that their musical chemistry is that good for what's was she 10 or 11? You got a 10 or 11-year old that's got more musicality than some grown ups, you know. And so she got on, and you know you can feel the force space. You're like, that's not a regular Kardashian, that's a hybrid. That's something. That's a talented family member. And so, you know, people always joke that they're not talented. I think North and I think Chicago and the rest of them, I think he just bred like a whole like Beatles group in his house right now. I think all of them are going to contribute musically, which is going to be scary.
It, I definitely agree, and I really like that she was one. I like that he brought her out to his show. I mean, I think he's been bringing her out to all of his shows, but it kind of seemed like a gimmick at first, right? And you know, this is me, you know, just hearing a snippet of it and then actually listening to her on the album. Like it does flow well. Like it's a good track, right? I mean, there's nothing really gimmicky about it. In fact, like the track is kind of like two different sounds, kind of because like she starts off and then at the end, Ty kind of sings his, you know, does his whole thing. So that's actually one of my favorite tracks on the album, and kind of did a 180 on me because I was thinking it was going to be a little bit of a gimmick, and you know, I'm just throwing my daughter on here because you know, I'm a fun dad, but that's really not. I mean, I'm sure he's that, but you know, I'm is it was it's. I mean, it kind of rocks. It's good.
What did you think about the Back to Me track? You know the Freddie Gibbs track when the big beautiful big titty women, and when you hear it, and they say it so fast because you know the thing is with that track, Jason Mewes is the voice on that track, and you know that's not ad libs on that one. I mean that Back to Me track is hard, man, and a lot of people when you hear it the first time, you know, I'm trying to listen to this album and my 11-year-old's in the car, so I had to turn it off because, you know, she was, you know, the kids start singing and stuff. So, you know, she's singing that, let's keep zoning. I'm like, no, let me turn that off. Because she already heard the TikTok version of it. So I was like, you can't finish the song. I mean, it's catchy. I mean, it's a really catchy album. I mean, it starts off like with Pure Fire. Like, you know, you get into the Bad to Me, you know, North is that fourth track, and then you go to the Bad to Me. Hood Rat's okay. But I tell you, the middle of the album is where he just goes crazy. You know, that it's that 9 through 13 is vicious. It's one of our guys, Maurice, you know, he's been on the show before, man. You know, it's like workout music. He's been listening to Vultures now for days, which is working out with it. Like he's put some considerable muscle on listening to this album. So
Yeah, to kind of go back to me, I do appreciate that track. Like I think Jett mentioned there's like a lot of callbacks to some of his other stuff. So like for me, that was definitely like the In Paris callback with what was that? Because he sampled a different movie in Paris, right? It was like a Will Ferrell movie, right? So like that one for Back to Me was like the Jay and Silent Bob quote. So I mean, there's like a lot of those like touches where it's like, you know, it's Ye, you know, it's sort of like him tapping into something from his discography, like way back, but it still comes off as fresh and new somehow. Um, there was another track that started off that I almost thought I was hearing Bound. I think it was Problematic, and it just like wait a minute, right? And then it just kind of like takes off into something else. I mean, there's so many things where it's like, yeah, I mean, I don't want to like an ignorant listener might think like, okay, he's just kind of like a has-been and just, you know, just redoing what he always does. But I don't know, like on multiple listens for me, it just
well, he's sampling himself now, which
I
is
was gonna
scary.
say, I was gonna say, so he did it this time, but like, how sick would it be later on, volume 2, volume 3, whatever, and he's sampling himself off the College Dropout, or he's sampling himself off of, you know, 808s. He did sample Hell of a Life, I think, like real quick. I think it was in Carnival, and like
Carnival.
That's probably my favorite track on the album. But like, I was talking to a buddy about it. I'm like, dude, I don't think there are many artists who can sample themselves, turn it into a hit, and like, I wouldn't even say like get away with it, because he would. But the fact that we've reached the point now where he's, able to like, back in the day, it was like, oh, he steals music, he steals samples. Well, like, not anymore. He's sampling himself. Like, he's done it.
Well, think about it. That track Carnival, that's Iron Man. That's the Ozzy Osbourne track. Because I got real Marvel nostalgic when I heard the original version of that song before that. What he does, he changes his albums. His albums are like living organisms. You hear a version on Tuesday night when the album drops, and Friday the sample's gone. So he sampled himself, and took out the Iron Man track, because I guess Ozzy called him anti-Semite and said, I need you to take it out right now. And so they took it out, for obvious reasons. And he came right back with his own sample. He sampled himself, and it sounds better than Iron Man sample, which is crazy when you think about it. He did that. I think he already had it ready to go. He thought he probably knew he would have a problem with Ozzy and Sharon, and he just said, you know what, I already got it queued up. Let me upload this to the Apple guys and Spotify guys. There you go, and it's smooth.
Yeah, I think I was gonna text this to Jay, but the first time I heard it, I almost needed to take a cigarette break afterwards to like gather my thoughts, walk around the block, figure out what just happened. No, it was good, but it's interesting you say that on like he had another track ready to go, because when he sampled Everybody with the Backstreet Boys, of course he didn't. He never got their permission or anything, but I was kind of thinking he'd have a backup to your point about like ready to go, but I don't know how that ended up. That was like my one kind of bummer of it not being on the album on this first volume, just because when he teased it, it reminded me so much of the College Dropout, and it's like, just back to his like kind of early sampling days when like, even if you kind of don't need to, the average listener doesn't need to know every single word to the song, and it can, they can kind of sing along in their cars, if that makes sense, which is the opposite of what Kanye is kind of going for. But that was, great album. That was just my only like, oh man, I wish he would have done that. But, who the hell am I to tell him how to do his music and release it?
Yeah, I totally agree. It's like, it's sort of like he still took advantage of the unauthorized stuff that's floating out there simultaneously, right? Yes, like you already talked about the Backstreet Boys sample song. The what's that one? The one with there's another one that didn't get on there. Oh, Nicki Minaj, the Nicki Minaj song.
Yeah,
New Body, yeah.
Right. So I mean, there's plenty of that stuff where it's like, I wish this was there, I wish it wasn't, but then you never know what actually is going to be on the album, because like even the talking track, like that was like just a separate track in itself, right? And like I think the second part of that one where Ty Dolla $ign starts singing, that was even like labeled as a different track on its own. Because when it does like the sick mode, when it kind of flips into a different beat or whatever. But yeah, man, I don't know. It's just wild, man. It's just wild. I just can't believe that it's here. I can't believe there's more coming. And I'm just glad that we're all able to kind of like enjoy it like for what it is. Because I know he tried to make that STEM thing a thing with Donda 2, and that never really took off. And, now he's back to the stream. So it's just back to change the game again, I guess.
I mean, don't forget the Donna Summer song he sampled. They took off. That it's like
Another banger.
And it's funny because like you go all the way back. You know, is that it's actually college. It's actually through the wire vibes. You think about the way like the way he was sampling like Donna Summers. And the joke he always says, "I made that song hotter." Like through the wire. Aretha Franklin, was upset. You know, a lot of people are upset about why he sampled this song. Basically, why is he sampling Shaka Khan? So there was a lot of controversy during that time period, and she finally like said, hey, we cool now. It took 20 some years to say we cool again. And so because he never performed through the wire much after that, due to the controversy. If you recall, that song disappeared. It faded, and kids find it on YouTube now. It goes, that Kanye? I'm like, yep, that's Kanye. I mean, I would say like that one track that really was real. It was real Chicago. That fuck something track. That's pure Chicago. That beat, that 808 on that track, man. It's like something you hear late at night buying a hot dog from one of those those Maxwell Street places, And you hear it, you're just like, what is that bass? Because like the first time I heard that song, I was like, I went to go get something to eat one night, and this is right the Vultures drop because I hadn't got to track 10. I'm like you, Jett. I listened to every song trying to find what's wrong with it, and I got to track 10, and somebody played it before I heard it. I'm like, what is that? Because Playboy Cardi, for some reason, him and Travis Scott, that collaboration is crazy. Playboy Cardi killed. That might be his best. That might be his best lyrics ever on that "Fuck Something" track. And I'm sitting there like, I'm not a big Playboy Cardi fan, but I know Travis Scott because Utopia sounds just like this album. Well, you can hear influence Utopia and this album. They go together. This could be volume 0. It could be Utopia and then Vultures. If Ty Dolla was on the other album, it could just flow. That's how smooth it is.
That's actually, yeah, that's good. I never thought about that. I'm indifferent on Playboy Cardi myself. I just appreciate how much Ye believes in him, if that makes sense, because he's been featuring him quite a bit, especially on Donda.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I don't know, kind of switching gears a little bit, but Kanye just got announced, and Ty just got announced that, was it Rolling Loud? There was one festival.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was Rolling Loud or what it was. It wasn't like Coachella, but I do like that he's kind of, because he was kind of anti, right? Like the whole thing with like Coachella and Lollapalooza, he's had his issues. I'm pretty excited that now he's sort of, and maybe this is a sign of like things to come, but he's kind of getting back into the, I don't want to call it like the mainstream, but back performing at festivals, like maybe, dropping albums in the same couple of months of when he says he's going to drop it. Like we're taking baby steps instead of the 3-year wait. I don't know. It's getting me excited. And, I'm kind of starting to think it's been a little bit of a worry. I wouldn't call it a worry, but that he'll keep dropping music, but he'll kind of never perform live again because he wants to be married, which is a whole nother thing. And be
my God. Yeah. Like, Novak, when you were bringing up Travis Scott, like y'all probably saw, like, was it the week or so before that Vultures dropped, like Kanye popped on Travis Scott's show. It was like or was it in Orlando?
That's right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So yeah, Jett, like that brought me to that type of feeling too. Like he just basically played the hits when he popped in on Travis's show. So besides seeing him do it and to kind of like give the fans what they want in that moment, he kind of like cleansed something for me, because like Novak, when you're saying this is kind of connective tissue to Utopia, like I thought like I thought Travis Scott was sort of like making a caricatured version of Yeezus, but being that Ye actually was there in his show, that kind of like gives me the stamp of approval. Like, okay, well, he kind of like is giving him the blessing that he did carry the torch, and then they collabed on this. So that was kind of a dope sign for me. Like if he's willing to collab with Playboy Cardi, and like Travis, obviously it's like he still has his foot into like like what's current, I guess.
Well, he's the wave. He's part of this current wave right now. We're talking about waves earlier. It's like right now his style has influenced all these albums. You think about Future. You think about Future sound, right? You think about Utopia. You get into you know, even other artists from other states. Like you look at what's going on in Florida right now. You look at Kodak. Kodak didn't sound like this until, like, you know, they started hanging out. You know, Kodak basically was always, to me personally, he was on other TV shows as a kid. So he was a child actor that turned into a rapper. There was him auditioning for TV shows, children TV shows back in the day. So Kodak has become this persona, this dude, right? He's a good artist. You know, he kills it. He kills it on Kendrick Lamar's album. Just goes crazy on Kendrick Lamar's album. But you can tell that, you know, the influence from Ye. I mean, especially with Travis Scott, especially with even Tyler the Creator. The whole Tyler Creator album is a lot of his production. So you can see, like, I think honestly he might not perform again, but his handprint is on half the industry right now. So he's controlling the way we think and the way that people dress. It's almost like it's like emo hip hop with Christianity sprinkled on top. So and vultures that fly about. So it's very biblical, to be honest with you. So I feel like he's taking us somewhere. I don't know what it's like watching, the Dune or something like that in real life. This is hip hop Dune we're in right now. We're just waiting for the third episode of it.
Jay, not to take away your host thing, but just a question for you guys. So,
Yeah, man.
was this album, this is kind of the question I've been asking myself and going back and forth on, but was this album everything you thought it would be? Like, were you, from a sound, from a, lyrical perspective, from a entertainment perspective, was it, were you disappointed, I guess, by this album in any way? And the reason I pose the question is because I haven't, the last time where I was like, wow, that checked every single box, cannot imagine, was probably On the Life of Pablo. And while there have been, bits and pieces, and, that's probably being a little bit too hard, but, while I like the majority of most of these other albums that have come out since Pablo, I kind of had high hopes on this one, and it was good, like, great album. Is it his best in my, no, but again, it's in 3 volumes. So there can be an argument to be had that, right, he could have taken all the top tracks and thrown them onto one and then saved everything else for a rainy day. But just curious, if there's anything left to be desired on, in each of your opinions, probably more educated opinions than mine.
No, man, I appreciate the question, because it's like there's so much to unpack with that question. I feel like everyone's answer is totally different, and that's fine. I love your analogy with the Harry Potter book series. Like, this is definitely the Game of Thrones of Ye right now, and I'm okay
For
with it.
sure. That's
I'm
probably
totally okay with it. I mean, bro, I'm totally okay with it, because I mean, there's like, you can pull something from any one of these albums prior to this, right? Like, I heard even like some of the Ye album too, like as dark as he got into his Kid Cudi depression in that album. Like, there's so many flourishes that I hear, but it still feels new, right? So the first time I heard it, I don't want to say I was disappointed, but I felt like sort of the boom bap stuff was at the beginning and the end, right? Like the Problematic and the King, and then kind of how it started out. It almost kind of had that bookend of like a hip hop feel, and everything in the middle had that Ty Dolla $ign kind of like sing along melodic stuff. But then every time I re-listened to it, like, it took me back. Like, the magic trick is like, it kind of took me back to what I loved about him, but then it also took me into different places too. And one of one of my favorite YouTube critics, I'm not sure if y'all saw some of his reviews, because he's pretty well known, the Needle Drop. Like, he basically called his YouTube video like unreviewable, instead of like Vultures 1. I think he called it unreviewable 1. So
Right.
he didn't have a lot of kind words to say. And that's why I posed the thought earlier about, like, it's hard to remove the music from the artist. It is. It's just it's not easy to do. So his funny line was like, the paid track. He's like, it sounds like Ty Dolla $ign is just telling us, I'm just here to get paid. I'm like, all right, fine, I get it. But there's a lot of lines in there that kind of took me out of the music for sure, right? So it's like you got there's a there's a line in there where he's like, I think it was a fuck something track maybe or whatever. He's talking about getting busy with somebody, and he's like, we can do it publicly or whatever. And he's obviously leaning into that photo that was online
Yeah.
everywhere. And then the whole thing, like, my girl's a reference. So it's like, okay, so you're cringeworthy to say lines like this, and we know what you're getting at, yay. But he's still willing to go in those dark places, but still somehow make it sound musical, It doesn't sound like, I guess when he was dropping like the small albums, less than 10 tracks, they were kind of like unproduced and almost like unfinished. So it's like
Right.
it was easy to kind of disregard that. But like this, it definitely sonically sounds like it's on point. And even if he has Chris Brown saying like, you went too far, I know there's a bit of this that Ye's like saying, you see what I'm doing? I'm puppet mastering the shit. I get it, Ye, but still, I'm still on board. Somehow I'm still on board. I've listened to it like dozens of times already at this point, and I found something new to like about it every time.
But to have Chris Brown say you're going too far, it's like an oxymoron. So, so he got him singing that track. Like you think lyrically, what's impressed me the most about this album is like even the track Vultures, right? That track, if you listen to that track and close your eyes, there's some evil wordplay on that track. Like, Bobby J has not been seen since he got released from jail, right? So I turned 10 bricks into 12. Them birds had a growth spurt. And I'm sitting there looking like, like he's talking about a vulture. So they're playing on the whole vulture thing. But
Yes,
then he
sir.
said, I just got some head to ghost and I ghost her. so you sitting there thinking about this, like, wow, this is pretty evil. The best one is we don't doubt 911. Let off that chrome first. I put in my own work. Better do your homework. So this is Bumpy J coming like just vicious on the opening tracks basically. And then you got DJ Ferris, hometown legend. You got DJ Ferris on the track,
right?
And then Dirk comes in and goes crazy on the track basically. And this is probably Dirk's best verses on the Yeezy track. It's crazy on the Ye track. It's nuts.
Funny you say that track specifically. I was talking to a buddy of mine about it. He's like, man, I felt like I was like sophomore year in high school and we're like walking through like an Edgar Allan Poe novel where it's like there's just some dark stuff and you're kind of, like it takes you like how your teacher like stops you and he's like, class, does everyone know what that means? Like how he's saying this and why it's it's this pun, it's that pun, but also, his guilt is like picking up, there's a whole bunch of other stuff going on behind the scenes. That track specifically was what my buddy called out and was like, yeah, man, felt like I was knee deep into a murder mystery novel where the dude who wrote it is the murderer.
Yeah, it's graphic. Like this ain't Jimmy Butler, but the Heat got extensions. Because Jimmy went out and got those hair
Right.
extensions. This ain't Caliban, but we came in the trenches. You're like, wow. He was on some other stuff with this, man. I mean, they give a shout out to Takeoff. They just going everywhere. He's talking about the skinny pants flow. Tell her, no, I don't want to fuck. She can suck to suck it dry. I'm like, but this is the same Christian. So he was Christian the last album. This when he went back to. He had a relapse.
Yeah,
so he went back.
We've done a 180 out of that.
Yeah, he's going hardcore back because him and Ty Dollar, he's talking about the European freaks. Ty Dollar at the end of that track. I was like, Ty always says something really clever. And this album, his level of creativity raised because you can tell that whoever ghostwriting on this stuff, those writers are phenomenal. I don't know if they showed up with backpacks, they were Illuminati of hip hop, but the lyrical violence on this thing is ridiculous. She Russian. I beat up the pussy for Ukraine. I was just like, wow. He took it there.
But as cringeworthy as a lot of these bars are, and even like kind of like hip hop, like sort of like I don't know, punchlines, right? But it's like it's still it's still musical. It's still like current. He's still like
Mhm.
has Bump J kind of like still trying to like do it like a mumble delivery to like make sure it's on par with the mood of the album. It's just wild, man. Like I think since we both talked, like it took me a while to finally finish the Genius documentary on Netflix, like the docuseries or whatever. And there's an episode in there where if y'all haven't seen it, like obviously the guy who directed a lot of Kanye's videos and was behind the scenes, Cootie, right?
Yeah.
At one point, I think it was part 3 of the series or part 2, he basically says, it took me a while to realize that Kanye is not Kanye anymore. He's just Ye. He's like living the role of Ye, right? And that's I don't want to give him a pass, but that's how I'm sort of like on board with anything that he's gonna do with this Vulture series. Cause it's like I don't think he's not Kanye anymore. Like he's just
No,
living a
good
character.
point.
And it's like it's not a movie, it's not music, and it's not his life, but it is. It's like everything's sort of intertwined, and you could just basically
Like his
take
diary. It's like his
yeah,
diary
yeah.
in the middle of a
Yeah.
season.
100%. 100%. Yeah. And it's like, I'm all for music being therapy for good or bad, because that's always what I look for in music. But yeah, man. I mean, as many folks as you're gonna lose, you're gonna gain a lot of different like introspectives, like or perspectives or whatever. But I think I think I think that's undeniable, whether you want to agree with it or not. Is just sonically, it's just super strong. Like I didn't know, honestly, Ty Dolla Sign at all. To be frank, like I probably knew him from like the Spider-Verse soundtrack and maybe like a handful of other tracks. But now it's like they brought the both
Uh-huh.
out of each other. It's obviously the Ye effect. He just knows how to like bring the best out of somebody.
So Ty, Spider-Man soundtrack.
Mhm.
And I don't know if you guys have seen like the Greatest Showman. That was like, it was a musical movie. They
Yeah,
did,
Hugh Jackman, right? Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So they did, all these songs in the movie, and then like actual like, famous singers, artists did like a reimagined version and ties on 2 of the tracks.
Oh,
So that was my
stop.
first
Get
introduction into
out.
Ty,
Get
Yeah.
out.
which
What?
brings me back to my earlier point of it was like a single, like the fact that he brought in Ty turned this into, which not to sell Ty short, he was great, but like
Yeah.
gave it this sing along vibe, which was cool. It's fun to listen to.
He's got, Ty's got big like hanging out with your friends in the bar vibe. He's got that
Yes.
Sure.
karaoke style.
Yeah.
So when you hear
Yeah.
it, like I mean, don't think about like this. He's always been around HBO projects. Think about the Issa Rae had the show, right? He was on that show when they were hanging out in California. He was like one of those artists on that show. His song, I mean, and don't forget to work with like Future and everything. So he's
It's true.
always been around. Like like when you listen to like West Coast music, Ty Dolla's been around the whole time. It's just that this right here, Ye reached out and grabbed the artist. Like this is like his version. This is like his version what Dr. Dre did with Anderson .Paak. This is his Anderson .Paak. But the difference is he took somebody that's so sonically and so musically talented. Anderson .Paak is just like this on Compton. This is similar. This is because Dr. Dre was speaking about Vultures. He's yeah, it's a lot of his vibe. Like if you think about how Dre arranges artists, now Kanye is starting to turn into the puppet master. I think you're gonna see a lot more production, a lot more him touching people's stuff and not taking credit for it, but you're gonna feel his influence. Because what he did with you go back to those tracks, right? One of the tracks to talk about is like what they did on Carnival. Let's go to Carnival.
Yes, sir.
And that track is nuts. And it's like I don't know if he made a strip club gothic soundtrack album. I'm imagining smoking the strip club and folks flying around and wings on the floor. I mean, he just made Magic City a Halloween song. That's what Carnival is.
But see, I didn't even get a Halloween. I mean, I honestly got like I was at a soccer game in the middle of Europe
Hey, yeah,
vibe, but
right.
also to your point, Novak, like we're at like a haunted house watching that soccer game. And birds and shit are flying everywhere.
And strippers are levitating.
we that'll vibe. Yeah.
All you need was 2 Chainz on that track. That's all you need is 2 Chainz.
Oh,
If you remix
man.
Carnival and you put 2 Chainz on there, it's a done deal. You know, wow. I mean,
Wait,
that chemistry's there.
to your point earlier, though, actually, I want to go back real quick because you're like, he's the puppet master, right? Like you're starting to feel his influence. When we did this podcast, however many years ago, 2 years now,
Mm-hmm.
I referred to Kanye as like a point guard, right? Like everyone
Yes.
who he works with
Mm-hmm.
gets better. Good players make other players better, right?
Sure, right.
It's funny now because I'm like kind of flipping between he's now like a head coach,
Right.
like he has his own like what, not to use this analogy, but like his own style of play. Like he runs a spread offense. So everybody who now runs a spread offense is a Kanye disciple. Or you could flip it and you can say, okay, he's not like a head coach. He's more like, not even like taken away from sports. He's kind of like creating like a Rick Rubin type of vibe. Not in a sense of like he sounds like Rick, but it's like Rick has been on a track because of like
Yes.
a bunch of like chorus instruments, brass, like immediately. Whereas Kanye is kind of, you kind of know if Kanye is on a track, not for one specific sound, but more for like flow and style. I meant to actually talk about this earlier, but no, back to your point, it kind of brought me back a little bit and I had to backtrack. But yeah, that's kind of,
No,
I
I
feel
love
like
that.
yeah.
I love that. I love that way to kind of like process this, right? Because you're scratching my my dad joke brain here slash like life changes, right? Because when we did that pod, I was more like a wannabe point guard on these like scrimmage streets, and now I literally am like a coach, and me and Novak are coaching with our kids. But though it's crazy because like you think this what if AI algorithm scenario, right? Like why can't these dope ass artists make their own label or reproduce these artists in a way because they're obviously super talented, right? Because it's kind of like the argument is like you have a super producer like Ye or whatever. They should just be like pushing hits out like a factory and just like grooming artists. But it's like, no, since they are artists themselves, they have to kind of like come at it at their own terms. So yes, if it is like a head coach analogy, then that's what you get these projects. You get like a Ty Dolla Sign who's sort of like the center of that project. And then obviously the Watch the Thrones thing, that's kind of like a record label thing. But I mean, this argument goes on forever, right? Like, why couldn't Jordan, be like a coach or be like an owner, or why couldn't Dr. Dre like just push artists out? I mean, it's kind of like, greatness doesn't always necessarily, I don't want to say breed greatness, but they don't like have to kind of like factory reproduce greatness because they have to kind of approach, their greatness on their own terms. And, they are artists in the end, right?
Well, he's back in that 2012 mantra. He's back on that new God flow. That's what it's like, basically. You think in terms of like, think about what he did in 2012, 2013, and that 2011. So you had all the lights, right? Then he turns around and does Party with Beyonce and under 3 Stacks. So 3 Stacks and him have this chemistry where whatever he calls them, he brings something dope. Because they were going crazy. Like, he ran like the early 2010s. He ran that, like, there was so many crazy tracks that came out. Don't forget like the stuff he did, still one of my favorite underrated tracks is Sweet Serenade off the Pusha T album with Chris Brown. That song is very Vultures like. If you think about like there's Vulture music before Vultures even dropped, because you can tell that it's that dark hip hop where you feel like you're about to go to the Coliseum and the gladiators about to kill each other. So that's pretty much where he's in that mind state right now. Like, even if you think about probably the best track he did that no one knows about is Bitch Better Have My Money. That's Ye on the Rihanna track. That track out there, that's all Ye. And I was like, why do I like this Rihanna song? Because that's Kanye. It's like, don't forget about You Mad. That was that same, the Vic Mensa You Mad track. That's the same era. So like he kept evolving right now. You think about, you keep moving on and stuff like that. Like you get into Teyana Taylor. That's the sleeper production that he did that a lot of people don't mess with her. But T's album is sick. it's not like your usual R&B album. It's something else, basically. Like, like I get into like Jett, you want to try something? Francis and the Lights. Thank me for that later. Go play Francis and the Lights. Find Francis and the Lights and Kanye. It's crazy when you listen to those tracks. I used to ride around listen to those tracks in the car. People are like, what is that? That's like bubblegum emo. That's the best way to describe it.
Okay.
Yeah, Francis and the Lights, Bun Iver. So, but that's how I found out about Bun Iver. You talk about the whole disciple thing. Bun Iver got introduced to us just like Daft Punk. Even though we knew what Daft Punk was before Kanye, but the thing was, he brought those guys back relevant again in the industry, because Daft Punk was the afterthought for a long time. But people knew they made great music, but he made them hot again in that situation.
Right,
They might not like to hear that, but that's what did happen in that situation. But it's you think about that, you think about Jack Harlow, the industry baby. That's Kanye. That's Jack Harlow and Lil Nas X. Lil Nas X basically ate that track up. And he played the devil, he does all types of other stuff. But there was no devil on that track, he's a pretty good artist. It's just that, it's the shock thing that kills you. But, probably my favorite thing most recently is City of Gods, with Fivio Foreign.
Yeah.
That's a sick track.
I like that one. And you also were like sort of walking through
Mm-hmm.
when he did those, like the Pusha T album and the Tiana Taylor
Mm-hmm.
album. Like when he was doing those, I think he had like a Lil Nas project too, or not like Lil Nas X, but just an actual Nas. Like he was dropping, what was it, like 9 tracks every week. There was like a new album coming out, right? But as dope as they were, you knew he was at a different part of his life, because he was sort of committed to his life and his wife and all that, and whatever. But now that he's in his heartbreak phase, it's like he's he's able to kind of like commit a lot more to it, which I guess, for the better, for better, for worse, right? It's like a lot of good music comes out of heartbreak. So he's just channeling it in a lot of different ways. And it's kind of like interesting that he's able to kind of pull a lot of strings and mess around with different versions and tease out drops, as opposed to that time when it almost felt like remote yay, where it's like, I'm just gonna push this out because I probably got to get to my family, and I'm gonna just push another album out. So it sort of felt rushed. But now I kind of like this, like Jett, you were saying, it's like this unpredictable. Is it coming out? Is it not? What version are we getting? And when I kept trying to like listen to all those unauthorized listening parties and like the SoundClouds, and it's like, oh damn, this track's not even on there. But then now that we finally got the actual part 1 project, I'm like, oh damn, I'm not even thinking about those tracks anymore. So it's kind of like it still works. It still goes.
It's the evolution. Like, you go back as far as 2003. What used to be my favorite song around that time period was "Doing My Job" off that Trap Music T album. That is still one of the most ghostly instrumentals you put out there. It's around that period where it's around that Rockets period. You remember that Gorilla Monsoon rap?
Yeah.
That was, man, that was a hard. I mean, everything was hard back then. I mean, I think that, yeah, he's changed. He basically, his DNA is all over hip hop right now, and also over other groups. Like, you think about Maroon 5, Carl Thomas, Janet Jackson's albums. He did a lot of Janet Jackson work that nobody knows about. Don't forget about the Alicia Keys. There's no Alicia Keys without Kanye West, and people don't want to hear that. Like, you don't know my name, you know where that came from. He killed that, man. And if I ain't got you, remember that? That's Ye. So,
Man.
yeah, you're right, Jett. I mean, it's almost like he's become the puppet master all of a sudden,
Right.
And he's not taking credit for most of the stuff he's doing lately.
Yeah, it's
wild.
wild. It's wild, man. So like, what y'all think about now that the clothing industry turned their back on him for a while, and Gap and all that, and now he's able to kind of roll off all that sort of effortlessly, right? Like he got all that Super Bowl merch out that week or whatever, and he kind of goes back and forth on if he's gonna sell it expensive or he's not, and it's kind of like, I don't know, he's sort of like calling the shots in a lot of ways, but also still asking for a hand. I don't want to say a hand out, but a hand, a hand up, right? Because like when he was doing some of these listening parties, wasn't he like asking like, "Hey, can we host something at your spot? Can you like not blackball me or whatever?" So I mean, he's still trying to find way to kind of like weave through everything, I guess, but still do it his way.
I mean, it's funny. I'm a little, I don't know if indifferent is the right word on the
Yeah,
clothing. Like, he's an artist. He's gonna roll out an album. He's gonna roll out merch. He's gonna
yeah,
roll out clothing. Do your thing. More power to you.
right.
As a skinny kid who's 5'9", his new clothing line just doesn't work for your boy. Not to say I don't appreciate it. That's not it at all. But it's he's doing new stuff, right? I grew up
Yeah.
with Kanye in polo shirts and khaki pants. We're way past that, as we've talked about for the last hour. We're clearly past that. But what I kind of liked about this album so much was that he's sampling himself, which is, in my opinion, a pretty awesome move. A little bit. I'd kind of like to see him. Weird to think about it, like clothing wise. I'm not a fashion designer guy, but like figure out a way to sample himself in clothing from the past
a
is what I'd like to see. And I'm,
Yeah,
again, not a designer, not a fashionista, but to your point about like the fashion industry, you know, it'd be interesting if there's anyone who could do it, it'd be him, in my opinion, and to be something again on our theme here, new and different.
yeah, man. I
Wait,
totally agree with that because it's kind of like even when the clothing industry and all these labels were turning their backs on him, and as kind of like polarizing as his comments have always been, the shoe culture has still kept them relevant. You know what I mean? So it's just like, yeah, why not sample yourself with like a lot of the same designs that you kind of like changed the shoe game with, like
Right.
along the years, even when you weren't dropping music, steady. But that's kind of crazy. Yeah, there's so many ways he's sampling himself. Like, there's so many callbacks. But like the other one that I was thinking about when he was saying like this shit is like ridiculous, like when he was doing that bar callback from Twisted Fantasy. So yeah, I mean, he's just been around for so long, and so many folks have kind of grown up with his music along the way. So it's
well,
definitely, yeah, it's not off base.
think of it this way: fashion, shoes. Being a sneakerhead was dead for a while. Just to be honest with you guys, we were buying the same Jordans every year. People had this little, like the swag was weak. You think about Joe Freshgoods, you think about all the different shoe designers out there, and you get into what he did to the industry. I mean, Yeezys made Jordan change their whole perspective. They got cool with it. They started talking about reimagined fours, reimagined threes. They had to evolve because he was eating their breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah.
The shoe game, the you think about like how much Jerry Lorenzo, fear of God, basically started riding his wave. To be honest with you, I love fear of God, but there's a lot of Yeezy in fear of God. To be honest with you, that's because he's sitting on those. He was sitting on those fashion houses, man, and even with these sock pilots in the back of me, or whatever you think about, this end up a modern day Balenciagas. And it's crazy because it's a brand that most kids didn't know what the hell it was until he started rocking it, like the Louis V situation. Louis Vuitton's always been there, but it was like something your mom had a purse or something back in the day, your aunt had a purse. You saw it on special occasions. You never saw it like normally. I didn't even think it existed. So, as you grow up as an adult, you go, damn, I want those $1,200 sneakers. That's the Kanye influence because it's got people dreaming outside their fucking pay scale. And so, so everybody's like, you know what? I need $1,200 shoes and I need skinny jeans. But Jett, it's hard to do that when you over 6 feet. You got skinny jeans on. You look kind of crazy, man. And so you can't get away with it, man. But I would say like he changed the shoe game. He changed fashion. He changed graphic T-shirts. We're in an era where you can go to Target and dress now. That's the
Yeah.
Kanye wave. You go to Target and buy a dope shirt. You can throw on these $20 shoes with some Target joggers and a T-shirt that says fresh. That's how crazy it is right now. You don't have to spend a lot of money, but he showed you like shoes change, clothing change, everything's oversized right now, as you know, Jett. So everything's huge. You buy extra large, it's a 3X. So I had to change my clothing, the way I buy clothing, thanks to him, because now we're going through a stage that everything's not fitted. Everything's huge. Everything's like, this shirt I'm wearing now is massive. And it's crazy because Kanye infected Nike. Nike, to be honest with you, just wasn't hitting home runs right now. They're still trying to find their way back. I think that he saved Adidas. Hell, sure. on the way out, the Red October, she was still one of the dopest Nikes ever. To be honest with you, you can't match that today. I mean, I just wish that you're right, Jett. If he remixes what he did with Nike, or he finds somebody to give him a warehouse, it's scary, man. You're gonna see Yeezy gear again, harder than what it was the first time. It's gonna be more successful, and he's got total control.
I agree. Totally agree. He's a wild man. Anyone can do it. It's him.
There was an episode in the Genius doc too. I forget which part it was. It might have been part 2, but it was started to highlight his fashion collabs. And I remember there was like one way that he was looking at a shoe where he sort of was like, I want it to sort of be, even if you're not necessarily a fit person, I want you to feel like when you're wearing it, you're actually a fit, like you're a fit dude or whatever, you know what I mean? So I know he is conscious of everything that he puts a stamp on, whether it is fashion or obviously music. But yeah, man, it's sort of a far cry from years ago that, would you ever see his artistry come back? And it seems like it's not taking any steps back. It's just kind of like Pandora's box has been opened. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like reinvention pretty much, because you even think about the influence on the kids right now, because they were babies. They weren't even thoughts when he was dominant like that, to be honest with you. So, you think about trying to show you guys something funny. You probably
That's
can't
your daughter, right?
Yeah, you can't see him in the picture. So I think I'll give you guys a better picture of this one in a second. You see those right there? So this is what they're doing to him. So he infected the culture. So
with the socks.
Yeah, those are foams. So basically all the kids are rocking foams, right? They're even trying to play basketball on these things. That's how crazy it is, So you see it, you were like, what are we doing here? Because, what he did is he made dad culture cool. That's what I say happened. This guy is the leader of dad culture in this country. The hats, think about this, the hat game right now, the trucker hats and stuff like that. He was doing that before trucker hats became a thing. He stopped doing it. So the thing is, I guess you follow the trends right now. He's blazing the trail and people are following. They're doing what he does. They're following him, and he keeps moving and everything like that. But yeah, this is what you're seeing right now. Like, he's infected them, and they don't even understand the significance or insignificance of what's going on, fashion wise or culturally. It's a good thing and bad thing, but I guess we'll see over time what happens in the world of Ye. I mean, I think the best stuff is still coming, to be honest with you, because I think there's more to it. But clothing wise and stuff like that, he made shopping fun again. That's the way I look at it. Even though there's been some bad moments, there's been some scary things said, he's been canceled, but he said he uncanceled himself. I'm not too sure about that yet.
Like he's the only one who could get canceled, uncancel himself, deliberately recancel himself, try to undo and uncancel himself the second time.
Wow, I want to be like that when I grow up. Hey, I got canceled yesterday, but guess what? I uncanceled myself. I mean, you can't.
All part of my plan.
Oh man, and then everybody gets upset about it, and everybody's outraged, is listening to the music, buying the stuff, and then getting mad and sending me comments. Your boy put an album out last night. It's trash, but I like it. I'm like, what do you mean it's trash? I can't stop listening to Carnival. I'm like, man, I'm like, okay, so you got the track. You like the track? I do like the track, but I hate him. I'm like, okay, you hate him. I mean, it's nuts you think about it, but yeah, this is where it started with me. This is my holy grail in the background. There's nothing like that grail. You know, this thing here is just wonderful.
Oh snap.
Yeah, that's my original Yeezy that lights up in the dark. That's my holy grail. I still have those shoes. I haven't worn those shoes now about 4 years.
Man.
And my kid the other day goes, "Those Nikes? Yeah, put them down."
Hey, those may be the start to your kids' college funds.
Yeah. I got the red Octobers too, so it's nuts when you think about like, I mean, no, is it a comfortable shoe? Hell no. This was not comfortable, but it looks nice. That's about it.
That's funny, man. But I love how you said like he just sort of owns dad culture, because that was like a perfect marriage with Ty Dolla $ign. You know what I'm saying? Like him and his dadness and his dad singing lyrics, but somehow making it sound smooth, somehow making disturbing lyrics sound smooth as fuck.
It was kind of creepy. You start singing about, you know, my legacy and stuff. I will admit that was creepy. I'm trying to work for your legacy, and I'm like, what is this? It's like taking a Boyz II Men track and throw Kanye on production. That's what it was like. I was waiting for one Ye to show up on that track and start singing about the kids. You know, it's you know what? Hey, Ty Dolla, more power to him. I mean, he's probably an even bigger artist right now. He's always been a good artist, but this pushed him into a new realm right now. I mean, you work with Ye. I mean, got Bumpy J dressing like Blade. All types of stuff is crazy at that concert. He dressed like Blade, so it's the Blade look right now with the dad shirt, the dad boots, the dad gloves. You go outside and work on the house. It's genius. All Menards.
And again, I'm totally with it. Like if he ever collabs with another artist, I know it's not gonna come off as like a Jay Electronica album with Jay-Z stealing the album. Like, no, it's gonna be like a total like vibe piece that is gonna sort of bring out the best of folks, just like Jett put out, you know, that head coach like metaphor. Like, yeah, man, it's like it's dope to see him in this space, because it definitely felt a little more hands off before. It definitely felt a lot more therapeutic. And, you know, music is definitely therapy, but it also has to be like raw and fun too. So it's just firing on all cylinders. And, you know, he's probably going to cancel himself 10 more times and uncancel himself by the next time the Vultures 2 comes out. But I guess I'll still be along with it, man. I mean, like my oldest is definitely all about Ye. Like he has the College Dropout album on vinyl and Late Registration on vinyl too. So I'm still trying to schedule chaperone listening parties with him for this Vultures, because like we listened to halfway of Vultures 1 and had a little conversation after each track. So I don't know if he's gonna come out with any clean versions. So I got to do a little guided tour until that happens.
I don't think it's gonna happen because it loses power. Unfortunately, that's the downside of this stuff. It loses power when you start taking away the lyrical content of what that guy does. I mean, lyrically, he's a beast. I mean, everybody raises their bars, but you know, I struggle with it too, man. When I play it in the car, I make sure I drop her off, and then you know you're in dad drop off line, and you start to listen to Carnival, and you drive by it, and the moms know what the hell you're listening to, and so they be looking like, see, listen to that Kanye album. So you know you have to be real careful around grammar schools and stuff like that. You know they'd be like, I heard that guy you're playing in your car. So,
that guy.
Yeah, I heard that. I got
drive up on the north side, and nobody will know who it is. You'll be fine. move your way north. All good.
Yeah, you're right about that. You go up there, man. They'd be like, "Is that John Travolta?" I mean,
yeah, Bieber.
But yes, so
Yeah.
Jett, like me and Novak, I think it was last week or the week before, we had a conversation on our podcast about censorship and just like growing up with censored lyrics and the era of like, Tupac and Snoop Dogg recording actual clean versions instead of bleeping themselves out, like substituting, you know, like actual like profanity for like not profanity. But yeah, man, it's wild because like since I'm always a film fan first, and it's like it's sort of easy to have a guided discussion for a movie or a show, and you can fast forward or you can pause and have a discussion. It's like music's not the same way. You had the letter E next to the track, and it's not like like you can't sort of like rate a track rated R or PG-13. Because like when I was like trying to tell my oldest about the Vultures album, I was like, well, if I were to be honest, like maybe the first half of it's like PG-13 and then it turns into R, which is not a great comparison because each track kind of like takes an R/NC-17 turn within a bar. You know what I mean? So it's like the music art form is definitely a different beast in itself when you're trying to I don't know, trying to culture somebody that's young, I guess.
No, I hear you. And Novak, real quick. So, speaking of censorship, I'll never forget it. Jay, what was that radio in your car? It was like you like clipped it, not you didn't clip it in, but it like you like you know what I'm saying? You like pulled it out if you parked the car, and then
Yeah.
Novak like we'd park, he'd pull it out, we'd get back in the car, go drive. It was like one of those like Sony like
It was kind of
Close.
like a face off, right?
yeah, it
Yeah.
like clipped in and then like
Yes.
it ejected out. And if you
Right.
eject it out, it like
Yeah.
stops the song, stops everything.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think it was the Black Album by Jay-Z, and Jay's driving me, and
Mhm.
some song came on, and Jay just pops it out, throws it, and is like, "No, no, man, we gotta go." And I'm like, "We are at a red light. This is fine." So I was curious, Jay, with TR on, if you've ever hit the not. It's not like you got a block punt radio, but like you got like the power off, like the aggressive power off button.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that callback because that's an amazing memory. Because like it's sort of the other 180 turn now. Because it's like now that he has access to our stream accounts, God knows what he's listening to, but we do give him the metaphorical DJ control in our car. And I'm fortunate to say that he's more playing more the Kendrick stuff as opposed to the Drake stuff because there's like a
Right.
Drake K dot spectrum in his age group in his seventh
Yeah.
grade basketball team. And I'm loving that he's playing more of the K dot stuff, but then some of the shit he's playing is like super graphic. So now I'm like, damn, like I respect it, but I'm like, how how can I censor my guy? But like it's kind of crazy where I try to give a palate cleanse. I'm like, all right, well, 21 Savage just came out with an album and it's a clean version. We won't listen to this for now. Like,
Yeah.
oh, Kid Cudi just dropped something that's clean. I will listen to this. But it's kind of like I still respect it, but it's definitely I'm at odds, being a parent for sure. Because probably some of it's over his head, probably not. You know what I mean? Because there's a YouTube video to explain everything nowadays. So who knows?
Yeah, right.
But with Cuddy, the problem with having kids listen to Cuddy teaches kids to be sad and depressed. It's like it's like suicide music. You listen to Cuddy and you be in a car like nobody likes me. I was driving around the neighborhood. You look out the window. I'm like the man on the moon. You think about this. Like Cuddy's albums are so dark that you want to ask him, man, you need a hug, man. What's going on, man? Cuddy, what's really going on with you? So there's never been a happy Cuddy album. You think about his first track, Day and Night, was the happiest Cuddy's ever been on any track he's ever made. Because the Roger album is just nuts, man. Roger, if you listen to Roger drive around the city, you might hit somebody. It's like I would say, like nowadays when I'm in the car with her, I'm like, Siri, stop that track. So we do like the shared music on the iPhones in the car because she got an iPhone now. So we basically fight over the DJ controls in the car. So the other day I put on like she wanted to know exactly like where did if I only knew Patti LaBelle, I was playing that to try to kill the mood in the car to make her go to sleep. I used to play it when she was little. So I put on Patti LaBelle to try to make her go to sleep. And my kid was like, what is this trash? I'm like, you used to sleep to this. I'm like, can you put on Keisha Cole? I'm like, no, it's like or you try to stop Sexy Red from coming in your car,
Oh,
or
man.
there's some dark stuff out there. The new one is Doja Cat. Doja Cat's attacking my car right now.
Oh
Paint the
man.
Town Red, and I was like, what is this shit? And so you listen to it, and you go, it's catchy. But being a grown man and sitting in the car talking about I'm a bad little devil, and I'm like I can't get into it, so I have to turn it off. So the thing is, I would say like it's a constant battle, good versus evil in my car, and and the thing is, we can't stop them, man, because they got TikTok, they got Roblox plays the songs during Roblox. I heard they're playing Travis Scott on the Roblox tracks on that. I don't know if you can play Roblox, Jay. They're playing
Yes.
whole Travis Scott
Yes.
albums in Roblox,
Yes.
and they're
Bro.
uncut, Jett.
Bro.
And you hear, you be like, that's Utopia. Where did you get that from? Roblox. So they got way.
Man.
They got ways
Roblox
to get
is
music.
dark, bro. If you think YouTube has some dark rabbit hole spaces, like
The race game?
Roblox, you go into some strange, like developer rooms. God knows what's going on there. It's like eyes wide shut in like freaking computer form, bro.
Yeah, you gotta watch the Roblox, Jett. When you get to that point in life and you can't play the video game, the door's closed, you need to go in there. Who are these people you playing with?
Pull them out. Pull them out.
Pull them out, man, out the matrix. But yeah, I mean, it's different, to be honest with you. I say like listen to music with them. You probably say, Jay, it's kind of eerie and creepy at the same time. Because or you ever catch yourself singing the same song with them? Isn't that crazy?
Yes,
our
sir.
song right now is she's into right now we still listen to Pablo in the car. Stretch my hands. We still stretch my arms. We still listen to that track in the car. She loves that track, and she tried to get into Fade, and I'm like, Fade is not for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, she grew up on Ye and grew up on Tyler the Creator, so I have to be very careful about what she puts on in the car.
Is it kind of like booze where like, hey man, if you're gonna do it in front of mom and dad. Don't take that shit out.
Hey, it's close enough. I mean,
I like that. I like that.
I like that. I gotta use it. It's close enough because you rather them listening to it with you so you can explain what they just heard. We do everything, but we ain't doing. I'm not explaining Sexy Red to you. I'm not explaining any Snooki. Any of them. We ain't doing that shit, man. I'm not explaining that to you. It's too much, man. The first time I was listening to SM radio, and I was at the gas station, and my window was down, and it came on my booty hole brown. I was pumping gas. I was like, no. I'm in Northbrook pumping gas, man. And everybody looked at my car like, is your booty hole really brown? I reached in there and turned the radio down. They're all looking at you like being judgmental or whatever, basically. Because XM radio, they play everything. If you listen, like I was listening to I was listening to Rude Jude. Rude Jude. I don't know if you guys ever know who Rude Jude is. He is hilarious. He used to be on the Jenny Jones show back in the day. He was that the guy that basically was always talking crazy, small white guy on the show. So Rude Jude, man, got his own he got his own radio show. It is hilarious. He talks about like sex confessions. I elf my babysitter. I got little hands because yeah, he's wild, man. Rude Jude is different. He plays Sexy Red sometimes to change the mood on the show. And I forgot my radio was up. So I was like, God damn you, man. I almost called in to say, please stop playing that shit while I'm driving.
That's what the Vultures album does too, right? It kind of takes you into these safe spaces, these nostalgic spaces, these Chicago house spaces, and all of a sudden Jason Mewes talking about big booty bitches, you know what I'm saying? It's like, bro, like, all right, you gotta be ready. You gotta be ready for it.
I mean, the way
you play it through, you gotta be ready for it.
The way Ye says it though is hilarious. You gotta think like, was he drunk or something in the studio? Big booty bitches. He said like real fast, and you like, this is kind of catchy, but you gotta be careful because the kid get it. She'll say it better than Ye, so you gotta be careful. I gotta, we gotta get the clean Vultures. I can't play Vultures with her right now. Maybe the opening track. That's it.
Yeah. And I'm just waiting for the album cover of like the fully clothed gay
You had,
wife.
did you explain that one yet?
Um no, but so here's something that's sort of like off topic a little bit, right? So my kids have got into this weird phase where they're homebrewing the Nintendo Wii and the
Mm-hmm.
DS. So
Mm-hmm.
since they're homebrewing the screens, they're able to put any type of wallpaper they want, and they're able to
Okay.
pop in music, right? So lately, the oldest has been putting like Astroworld and like dropping some tracks in there. But there's this one where he had the vultures on wallpaper, and then Maria's like, why she's being funny with it. She's like, how come there's like a piece of tape on her backside? You know what I'm saying? But anyway, yeah, it was just like it's crazy stuff like that, man. It's like, just taking this music, this this music and doing different things with it.
If I see a guy with one of those wet tank tops on, it's over. I'm like, dude, take that off. You know what's gonna happen, right? You know it's gonna be some grown man walking around with a wet shirt on with a t-shirt beneath it or something. It's gonna happen, man. They're gonna wear it like a jersey. Wait, you're gonna see it.
I'm pretty sure it's coming.
It's
You know what?
coming.
Like, since we're sort of like on the topic of offspring too, because it's kind of like I had this what if scenario play in my head when Eminem had his daughter and he just constantly rapped about her, and Haley grew up and I think she's doing podcasts. I think she still is, but I always had this like fascination, like what if she became like the battle rapper that he was, right? And kind of like the same sports metaphor, like what if Jordan's kids became killers and Scottie Pippen Jr. and all all luck goes out to him. But like with the Northwest thing, I do wonder, like, is she literally gonna take this music thing into a different space? Because we only got one track. Like Novak, you were telling me earlier off mic this morning, like you think that there's gonna be like an actual like full like full like project coming out with
Great
just
call.
her. That might be crazy, man. That might be
That's
wild.
a great call.
I think her competition is Blue Ivy, right? So we seen Blue Ivy. Blue Ivy seems to be a cool kid, but the thing is the swag is different with the Kardashian clan. Those children have like his DNA. I'm not saying Jay ain't a cool dad, but Ye seems like he brings them to the studio and makes them battle or something like that. 2 man in and 1 man leave. I can see him in the studio making them rhyme for ramen noodle or something like that. You don't eat tonight. You don't eat tonight, and your stepmom's not gonna save you. I can see him doing that, man, because he's that Will Ferrell type dad where whatever they want to do, as long as they're not hurting people, I don't think he cares. To be
And
real with you.
to not derail your thought, because like as much as he leans into the controversy with all his bars, for some reason the one bar about his kids, he said something about I had him in a fake school, and then he didn't finish the bar. I didn't look up like the YouTube conspiracy
That's
theories on
right.
that one. Like, what was the story with that? Did y'all like have any thoughts? Because it's wild. Because he obviously was very public about
This Sierra Canyon.
kids.
This Sierra Canyon is the fake school he's talking about. Because
Okay.
everybody's kid, like LeBron's kid went there, so everybody in Calabasas and stuff like that kid went to Sierra Canyon. So he made a remark about it. He didn't finish the verse because I guess that might have been his lawyer saying shut up. And so shut up, man. We up 10,000 right now. Shut up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, at least it's kind of interesting to see that even he is sort of reeling himself back as much as he is as yayness as he can get. He's still sort of reeling himself back for the music. So I'm cool
Right.
with it. I'm all for it. I know Jett, you kind of have to roll out, but any sort of like final thoughts, because I know the only way to approach a Ye project is to kind of be scatterbrained about it, but I'm here for
Yeah.
it. I'm definitely along for the ride, and I guess I can't wait, man, for more stuff.
Same. And I'll leave you. Look, I liked it a lot. This was a good album, great album, but it's funny, right? Because it wasn't the best album of all time, but he can keep putting out albums like this, and I'll always, Jay, to your point earlier, always circle back and be like, all right, well, it actually was pretty good. Like the more you hear it, you can sort of nitpick a little bit and cherry pick. But on a similar wavelength, it's also I'm still this is a horrible analogy, but like it's almost like you're waiting for the second coming of Christ because you've seen it once and you know it can happen again. And there's so many things wrong with that analogy and bringing Kanye into that for a lot of reasons. But it's like
Yandi.
I'm still waiting for the second coming because, and even though he's going to put out albums that won't be the second coming, but I know he's got it in there. That's kind of what keeps me coming back, sort of thing. It's like that one good golf shot that you just crush and it goes straight, and you've seen it, so you keep trying even though it doesn't, always work out. So that's kind of where I'm at. So no, it was a good album. Can't wait what happens in volumes 2 and 3. Hopefully they come out sooner rather than later.
Dope. I appreciate that. That's some good final thoughts, man. It's been a blessing to have you back because I didn't think this would happen. So this day is here. So it's been nice to kind of like, chop it up about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Thanks, bro. So Novak, you want to close us out, man?
Yeah, I just want to thank Jett for coming on. I mean, it's always a pleasure, man, to get you on the show and talk about our special admiration friend here. So, it's the best way to look at it is, buckle up, enjoy the ride. We don't know where this thing is going to go. I mean, we got Vultures this time. We probably get like Godzilla next. I'm just waiting for him to get a bigger spirit animal going forward.
Right.
So, but yeah, definitely, man. Appreciate you for coming on. Want to definitely tell everybody, go out and listen to something dope. It ain't gotta be a yay album. There's so much music out there. Go listen to something dope, and definitely check us out everywhere podcasts are available. And be easy out there. Peace.
Be easy.
All right, boys. Peace.
Hey yo, it's time to fry these whack rappers like a cookbook. Vintage Patagonia, no lookbook. You super soft like miniature golf. I got war horse from the Martin Lawrence at the mall. Let me floss some more. No string theorist, but I have a theory. If Steve Jobs was still alive, he would've killed Siri and revamped the whole map. I'm in the lab inspired by his revolution. Information for the future makes for good evolution. Ay, I'm right on time, no lies. I'm right on time, no lies. Super organic. You a speck of sand in La La Land. You as selfish as they come when you can, but I'ma always find the humor inside. No la. Live your life comfy like a lounge or a sala. Come follow me for Zen philosophy. I'm the modern Socrates who drinks a lot of tea and just be. Flip the switch when I wanna be the best. Take a break from crest. Topher Gray acting bipolar like Kanye West. I'm right on time, no lies.
Thank you for listening to the HipPodHedz podcast, a podcast where no Vac and no Sage discuss their hip-hop inspired moments. Share, like, subs, comment to the show on YouTube and Spotify. Go out and listen to something dope today.
I don't want to be a pessimist. I'd rather be an optimist in life and just think that, man, I won't end up in Paul McCartney's situation. I'll end up in can we name somebody that ended up in a good situation? Brad Pitt.